Welcome to the Goodman Podcast. Today, we're lifting the veil on something I think affects everybody, cloud security. So, we're going to dive into how AI isn't just a buzzword, but a guardian of the digital realm. Thank you, ChatGPT, for that description. Raj, maybe kick us off and explain to us how AI helps spot dangers in the cloud. Again, let's kind of catapult over the fact that it's trend spotting and pattern spotting. How is it actually being integrated into high tech security in the digital environment?
Sure. Great question there. So let's go a little bit back in time just to see where we are with tech. So there was a time when things were software was on a CD or DVD or your hard drive, and then that was it. That was the life we were used to. Then over the internet came about, become more mainstream. Start seeing these email opportunities, news sites, for example, and then I thought, hey, why don't we have software as a service, which is basically all on the cloud? Why don't we have more cloud-based software? Why can't we have Photoshop on the cloud? So then came this whole idea of cloud-based software, which means that it can be updated real time, made better real time. You don't need to buy a physical device or drive and use it. The problem with that is that as we are getting better at problem solving with AI, we're also seeing the bad actors attacking, hacking, causing challenges. All kinds of attacks are happening, and that's an issue. So how does AI solve this problem? Well, AI goes into, again, looking at patterns in the user behavior and looks at any abnormality. Let me tell you that's why that's important. Now, Megan, you're based in South Africa, and I'm currently in Thailand. And as it happens, you and I have different locations, different patterns, different times we can log in to, say, our Gmail account, for instance. So each user should have a different approach to how they use their email account. In the past, what we were doing was we had the same rules for all the users. They had the same rules. Okay, if it's logging in more than 10 times, this is definitely suspicious login. That's not true. Every user is different. But how do we manage that through a simplistic algorithm? The answer is we can't. So AI can customize that to every user or get the user's behavior. If that is, for example, you log in from a different device and from a different location suddenly, then you can spot it. Let me also caveat that by saying this is not perfect. It gets it wrong many a times as well, but it will get better in the years to come.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I mean, where we're sitting currently, or maybe it was even a couple of years ago before kind of AI became hugely mainstream. Um, you trying to log into an account and you get a capture form. I read somewhere once that it's not actually the capture form that is kind of identifying you as a human. It's the activity and the way your mouse moves over the computer screen and that kind of thing. Is AI kind of that AI is obviously catapulting that kind of capability to kind of track you and make sure that you are a human that's meant to be there, not a human that's not, or a bot or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a funny one because I've seen so many different videos of AI solving these capture forms, which is why it's really funny. But you're also right that it's not about in the question solved. It's about how you solve it. For example, there's this one very famous, there's more Chinese websites which do it, where you have like a picture and there's one part of the puzzle missing, and you drag that puzzle on top of the right location. In that example, the speed at which you drag it, for instance, the way you would go about how precisely do you go to the puzzle is very important as well. So it's trying to kind of gauge a way to make sure that you're really a human being. But the issue also is as you solve that problem, and that's the most commonly available capture form, people find a way to solve that using AI. And so you need to work on this next problem or the next puzzle to solve. and you keep improving and progressing that. The reality is it'll get very hard to do capture forms in a sort of the best way possible that is never hackable. They always can be, because with computer vision being so good at the moment, we are able to solve complex problems very quickly. It is going to be hard, but yeah, as we progress into this new space, we have to keep working on these issues and find better solutions to problems. It can't be one time solution. It has to be constantly evolving solution as well.
Yeah, yeah. Could you maybe give us an example of how of an anomaly that AI might catch that could prevent a security breach?
Simplistic one would be, for example, one has been logging in one has been logging in from the same city the last 3 years, and suddenly logs in from somewhere across the world. For that would be the example of like random behavior. But equally, if somebody is used to traveling quite often and they move from one location to the other, and that was the pattern which they kind of follow, then that will not be flagged as an issue for that person, because that person is typically traveling and they always have a different location. So it's
Mm.
customizing the behavior, customizing the solution based on the behavior of the user, and that's what AI is really good at: pattern recognition and then having a solution for that particular problem.
Mm. Yeah. Now, I want to just kind of rewind to something that you said a little bit earlier in the conversation, that you've got people developing solutions, and then you've got bad actors that come in to into the situation, and they create a problem that kind of out outperforms the current solution. And so it's essentially um like, in a way, do we need bad actors in order to push the technology forward? I mean, it's not an ideal situation, but solutions usually only come out of there's a problem that needs to be addressed. So we need cloud security, but in order to have cloud security that's top of the line, we need to know that it can be broken into so that we can fix the problem.
Well, as it happens, that's the way the world works, right? Don't fix a problem which is don't fix something which is not broken, right? So why spend the time and resources on that? And as AI has become so mainstream and the same tools are available to everybody else, the bigger challenge is like open source AI tools. For example, Llama from Facebook. That means that you can actually program the AI to do what you want to do. And then Hugging Face, which is a website where you can download different models, has millions of these kind of models. You can customize one to fit your purpose and make your own hacking AI tool, for instance. Now, the good news is that I will say 99.7% of people are not here to do malicious activities. They are trying to help the world, help themselves, help society. But 0.3% would be that you kind of they're the bad actors. They try to find ways to break things or penetrate into systems. And for them, we have to think about approaches to stop them. But yes, it only happen as people go deeper and sort of eh, challenge the system which we have in place. But we know it's going to keep happening. It's just not going to stop, and we can
Mm.
expect many more of these kind of hacks and cybersecurity issues to come in the coming
Yeah,
days.
yeah. Now, something that begs it's a question that begs to be asked is, with everything being automated now, I mean, you've mentioned Hugging Face, where people can download open source models and that kind of thing. Back in the day, uh, like, viruses were the big concern from a computer or a digital perspective. You had your Trojans and your worms, and essentially, I mean, those things are little programs that get sent out and just needs a trigger, and then it replicates and steals all your information. Now with generative AI, it's becoming easier for people to code and to automate that kind of thing. So are we going to get to a stage where you've got your black hats and your white hats essentially, but essentially it's all driven by AI, and the speed of the development of both the breaches as well as the solutions is going to speed up?
This is exactly what's happening right now. There's innovation happening on both ends. So as people build these new worms and Trojan horses, or Trojan worms, there are people fixing them, and they're making it part of the operating system. So you see, for example, Copilot from Microsoft is like the AI tool baked into Windows, and they're also baking in threat levels as well. So if there's a threat which you see from these different viruses or worms, then they will be spotted. But again, that's why there's constant updates on both sides. So there's constant updates on the operating system and what's happening on your phone and your computer devices, for example. Also, there are people inventing more of these things as well. And there are also people who are, white hat hackers who are working on fixes for these upcoming problems. So this is it's a constant evolution happening on both ends, and we want to make sure that the innovation happening on protecting us is far greater than the threats we're getting in from cybersecurity challenges. But again, this is scary because suddenly you can power the innovation on the dark side using AI, which is not great, because that means they can multiply their efforts.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if we kind of take a step back and look at it, like I said in the previous episode, through a business lens, how does AI help companies make sure that they're actually following the rules when it comes to protecting data in the cloud? Obviously we're automating. There must be kind of parameters that you set up to make sure that it's allowing access to the right people and not the wrong people. How is AI making this whole situation easier?
So again, what we are experienced in logging into, say, our Gmail, and Gmail is used for personal email and for corporate email as well. Google for workforce, or the workspace. So the same technology is pretty much using both the sides. The activities are monitored on both the ends, and what you're trying to do really is to make sure that there are no anomalies happening. And especially when you're looking at very critical pieces of information or logins. Now they're asking for two-factor authentication, or 2FA, for example, because there's some elements of hacking which can be prevented by having certain mechanisms which are completely controllable by the user. And this is like generating a real-time key to log into a cloud-based system. And that means that you can prevent bad actors from doing that, because they obviously can't get into your phone at the same time, is the assumption. Again, there is no foolproof way to solve this completely. This is an evolution, and we will see, people making things, Google was also hacked, for example. The usernames and passwords were released on the dark web, for instance. So, there's no foolproof system available today, and the idea really is to just keep innovating and actually investing a lot of cash and time into cybersecurity.
Yeah, yeah. Now, let's speak about where we're sitting now. We've got intelligent access control. That is a thing already. And how does it enhance the way businesses decide who can see or use their data in the cloud? Can it actually make it harder for people who shouldn't be there to access that sensitive information?
Yeah, absolutely. So once the system recognizes that there is an issue, it will, for example, you log into Amazon account, for instance, whether it's Amazon for AWS, Amazon Web Services for business, or Amazon to like buy something or through e-commerce site. For instance, there was a abnormal behavior in that login process. It will escalate the problem, and instead of just logging you in, it will sort of ask you to solve another puzzle, another question, and it will keep doing it until time is satisfied with the level of responses you've been giving. Again, if you think about this is the same level of interrogation that might happen. For example, you're entering a border when you enter a different country, for instance. The visa officer or the immigration officer will ask you a question. If the answer seems satisfactory, they might just stamp your passport and say, off you go. If they're not happy with it, they ask for some more questions. And if you don't get it right, ask for some more questions. And if they think there's something is wrong, they'll just kind of say, okay, go sit down over there. I'm going to send you to my senior officer, and then they will interrogate you. So exactly what's happening in the digital world as well. If you don't comply with the behavior, you will be sent to a senior officer for more interrogation until they're not satisfied you're not logging in.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking from experience, I've been there at border at border control with the thousand questions, and if you say one wrong thing, I think that's probably a great place to leave the conversation. A huge thank you to Raj for, as always, your insights, and again to our listeners for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the Goodman Podcast on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until next time, see you around.